Good morning, everyone. As we begin today's meeting, we would like to acknowledge that we're gathering here today on the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and before them, the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Huron, and Wendat. We also acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and other global Indigenous people that now call Brampton their home. We're honored to live, work, and enjoy this land. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our meeting of Brampton's Committee of Council. All members are present here today, with Councillor Broad and Councillor Paleshi joining us online. Before I move on to the approval of the agenda, just want to acknowledge I have a special guest here with me today. I've had the privilege always, since I was a kid growing up, to join him for work many days, to go see him do all the work, and that's most of my memories is seeing him work. I'm proud that for the first time today, I have my dad joining me for work today. So welcome, Dad. I know my dad won't like to do this, but I'm gonna push him to do this, get out of his shell. I have an empty chair here for my dad, so if you want to come down, sit down and join me for some part of the meeting. Come on down. I'll do it right after the approval, and then I'll do it. Yeah, right here. Dad, I'm getting late for work. Yeah, sit down. Okay, moving on. Our next item is approval of the agenda. Does any member wish to add a business item to today's agenda? I see Councillor Santos on the board.
Thank you so much, and through you, Mr. Chair, I've already spoken to the CAO as well as the City Solicitor. I'd like to add an in-camera discussion item regarding a strategy or plan for negotiations, and that would be under closed section, exception number, letter K.
Okay. Mr.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So that would be identified as an open meeting exception under Section 239(2)K of the Municipal Act.
Yep.
A position plan, procedure, criteria, or instructions to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board.
Okay.
15.1.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Santos. Mayor Brown.
So, one slight change to the agenda. GT20 was going to be making a presentation about their event happening this summer that we're really looking forward to. They're going to be doing it virtually, but they'll be in person. They're setting their operations up here in a few days. So if it's next week, then they can do the presentation in person. I thought that would be much more appropriate. So I know they're listed on the agenda for today, but if I want to defer the presentation to next week, Peter, what's the procedural way to do that?
So through you, Mr. Chair, they're not listed on the agenda today. There is no item, so I would suggest adding an item to today's agenda, and therefore, if the item's enshrined in the committee minutes, and then they can delegate in person next week at council, if that's the wish of committee and council. Okay. So that would be a proposed item under community services, 11.3.2 on the GT20 event.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. I would like to add another item, perhaps under an announcement for a proclamation.
And sorry, Councillor Torr,
Yep.
if we could also add an announcement for, I'm just going to pull this, for DS Baines.
Yeah. So that's two announcements.
Sorry, my apologies. I didn't, Mayor Brown, I didn't get the announcement. Sorry.
So the first announcement is for the proclamation for Jassa Singh Ramgarhia Day today. And the second announcement is just to recognize we have an individual with us in the audience that we would recognize. The mayor would like to recognize.
DS Baines.
Mr. Mr. Chair, that'll be identified as announcements, proposed announcements 5.5 and 5.6.
Perfect, thank you. So are there any more items? I'm seeing none. So we have a motion moved by Councillor Keenan to approve the agenda. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, and that motion carries. Do any members have a declaration of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act for any matter to be considered on today's agenda? Seeing none, the clerk will so note for the meeting minutes. Committee, as part of our consent motion process, I will read each agenda item that is subject to the consent motion, and any member may verbally identify the item to be held for debate during the meeting. Any item not held for debate will be considered as part of the consent motion and voted on for approval. I'll start reading the relevant agenda items, and members can identify any items to be held for debate. Item 7.2, staff report regarding Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation Housing Accelerator Fund application. 9.2.1, staff report regarding 2022 year-end investment report. 9.2.2, staff report regarding 2022 year-end operating budget report. 9.2.3, staff report regarding 2022 year-end reserve report. 9.2.4, staff report regarding capital project financial status report Q4 2022. 9.2.5, staff report regarding development charges and cash in lieu of parkland annual treasurer's statement report summary of activity in 2022. 9.2.6, staff report regarding memorandum of understanding with Toronto and Region Conservation Authority for provision of municipally requested services. Okay, 9.2.7, staff report regarding 2018 to 2022 term of council priorities end of term report. Okay, held as a discussion item is 9.3.1, discussion item at the request of Deputy Mayor Singh regarding job accessibility for persons with disabilities. 10.2.1, staff report regarding Churchville ice jam and flood risk management. 10.2.2, staff report regarding request to begin procurement, hiring of architectural consultants for various projects. 10.2.3, staff report regarding timing of traffic signals and pedestrian crossings at intersections.
Hold.
Councillor Palashi, did you hold 10.2.3?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Held as a discussion item 11.3.1, a discussion item at the request of Regional Councillor Keenan regarding status of the Terry Fox statue. And with that, we have the added agenda items 11.3.2 and 15.1 as a discussion item. So the clerk will summarize those items held by members for consideration or not part of the consent motion prior to approval of the motion.
So through you, Mr. Chair, there's only one item that will be held, with the balance of the items as noted by yourself to be on consent. And the held items 10.2.3, a staff report on timing of traffic signals and pedestrian crossings at intersections.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Palashi to approve the consent motion. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, and that motion carries. So moving on to our announcements. Our next item is 5.1, an announcement regarding the Brampton Arts Organization 2022 annual report. Joining us today is, Michael Vickers, Senior Program Lead for Brampton Arts Organization, Cultural Services, Community Services. I'm the sponsor for this announcement, and welcome, Michael. I know Michael's requested additional time for a video presentation and his presentation, so that should be okay.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Honourable Mayor Brown and members of council. I'm delighted to be here today to present the Brampton Arts Organization BOWS 2022 annual report. As Senior Program Lead, I'm proud to share some of our recent achievements and updates as our team works tirelessly to support the arts and culture sector across Brampton and the artists, organizations and creative industries that make it shine. Thank you to Kelly Stahl for your support and guidance, and a special thank you to our dedicated advisory panel, including council representatives, First Councillor Santos, and now Councillor Tour, along with our past chair, Navi Sidhu, and current interim chair, J.L. Richardson. In 2022, our second year of incubation, we witnessed an over 600% increase in participation and audience numbers as our workshops, programs, mentorships, and presentations supported and inspired thousands of local residents, including newcomers, youth, families, and seniors. Our inclusive, accessible, and free programming last year included multiple artist markets, exhibitions, art activations, and community networking nights, 2S LGBTQ+ artist residencies, open mic nights, concert showcases, bringing Brampton performers to the big stage here and across the GTA, and lastly, providing professional mentorship, trainings, and capacity building sessions for local creatives and arts organizations across over 80 events. Last year, our community partners included local organizations such as Visual Arts Brampton, PAMA, the Brampton Library, Soch Mental Health, and the Brampton Folk Club, while also working across city departments and with organizations including the CBC, Canada Council for the Arts, Ontario Arts Council, Spotify, Ontario Creates, and the Museum of Contemporary Art. We are dedicated to promoting Brampton's talent and providing opportunities for cultural exchange and learning while addressing the needs of groups that can so often go underrepresented. 90% of BOW event attendees surveyed responded that our facilitators were not only helpful and knowledgeable, but that taught them new insights and perspectives. 96% of those surveyed feel that a strong local arts and culture sector is important to their quality of life. In 2023, we've seen our impact continue to snowball, and in June alone, we will welcome Luminato, bring Brampton Pride and National Indigenous Peoples Day to life, present over a dozen artists at the Farmers Market, showcase local music videos in Garden Square, and bring Brampton performers to the North by Northeast Music Festival. The Brampton Arts Organization's ongoing advocacy for the sector has also helped turn the page on a new chapter for the arts in Brampton, and we're thankful for the instrumental support that this council has offered in 2023, including investment towards the planning of a new arts and culture centre, increased funding for local organizations through the Advanced Brampton Fund, and the development of the first public art strategy, and so much more. The arts contribute to a strong Brampton economy, help attract and retain talent, drive tourism dollars, and connect us all as a community. Everyone has a creative home here with BOW, regardless of age, gender, race, ability, or background. And we'd like to express our gratitude to City Council for the continued development of the Brampton Arts Organization and those that we serve. We look forward to continuing our work in this final year of incubation and continuing to work together to build a vibrant, thriving sector in the years ahead, once independent. We're very excited for you to spend some time with our report and would now like to share some stories from the artists themselves.
BOW for me means community. It's been a long time coming for Brampton to have an organization that brought together the various creatives and help us connect and start thinking about new creative avenues and working together.
We think it's really great that we have an organization that we can work with like BOW, which allows Bramptonians to be connected to the art and the artists in their community.
And what Brampton Arts Organization means to me is really just like that supportive, helpful hand that a lot of people don't think exists, but it's here in Brampton, and they're very willing to help everyone get where they want to get.
I'd like to take this time to thank Brampton Arts Organization, BOW, for all the great work they've done over the past year. They've promoted all of our shows and events. They've helped us find a new meeting room. They've answered our phone calls and questions. They've been a voice in front of City Hall. They've provided network opportunities and development opportunities. They're a great organization.
A huge thumbs up for the whole team, Michael Vickers, Gardenia, Katie, and all that you do for the community and all the support that you provide. Your work is always noticed, and you guys are kind of the behind-the-scenes connector between all the arts organizations, so we really appreciate what you do for the arts community.
Thank you, Michael, for that presentation and for giving us this wonderful report. Even seeing in that video and on the cover of this, see so many friends on here and see the youth of Brampton, being showcased through the arts here, and it makes me really proud. And I know Councillor Santos has been a big champion of this, and she's on the board, and I'm sure she has a few comments.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I am overwhelmed with pride in terms of the journey that we have been on from the Arts and Culture Creative Industry Development Agency to now the official Brampton Arts Organization. Councillor Tour was there when we launched last year at Springdale Library Branch, and I remember Councillor Tour saying, my gosh, this is one of the best events I have ever been to at the City of Brampton. And it's an honor to now pass the baton over to Councillor Tour, who sits at the official Brampton Arts Organization. But I remember, I'll share a story with you. I remember in 2020, in the height of COVID, we couldn't travel anywhere, so my son and I decided to go RVing to Pinery Camping Ground in one of the provincial parks in Ontario, and there was an ACEDA, an arts organization meeting that was happening. And I had limited internet access, but we were determined to meet anyway, and virtually on my little phone in the middle of Pinery Beach, we had our meeting and discussing the brand, the Brampton Arts Organization brand. We were talking about the ambassador program. We were talking about so many different things. And in all of those one-by-one meetings by the dedicated volunteers of that advisory committee and the incredible artists in Brampton who had faith in the process, because we had a lot of critics. There were a lot of doubts as to how successful this would be. We came such a long way. And kudos to the staff, the volunteers, Michael, who helped get us to this point, because certainly we would not have historic investments in the arts if it wasn't for BOW, and if it wasn't for the champions, the ambassadors, and all of the creative folks and arts organizations in the city of Brampton. We are finally getting roots in our city for the artists and getting the support that artists need in the city. So I'm so pleased with this annual report, and there are some things in here that if folks have not read it yet, I want to share very publicly, because sometimes people don't read these reports. Some of the quotes from the artists in Brampton, many of them so young and so talented in our city. I am so grateful, quote, I am so grateful for BOW and all that you are doing for the artist community in Brampton. I have never felt more proud of being a Brampton artist than how I feel now. Seriously, keep going. The next one I wanted to share here is, honestly, just seeing how the value of the arts in Brampton is being spotlighted. In Toronto, you would think there would be a similar progressive and connectedness in the art scene, but there is not so. We're being compared to Toronto. I feel like Brampton is light years ahead in terms of vision and growth. I feel so proud. And those are just some examples of the voices of the artists and the talents that we have in the city of Brampton that we never heard before until now. So kudos to UJL, Novi, Michael, the entire staff at BOW, the city council, Kelly, and team for getting this far for the arts in Brampton. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Santos. And a minor correction, I don't think I said this was one of the best events they held. This is probably the best event we've ever had in the city of Brampton. So I was very glad to be a part of that, and I'm very happy to be a part of BOW now. So thank you so much for that. Are we doing an official photo with the
That would be great, if you
report?
wouldn't mind. That would be wonderful.
Okay. getting settled in, and we'll move on to our next announcement, 5.2, announcement regarding the Illuminato Festival 2023 Walk with Amal on Friday, June 9th, 2023. Joining us today is Sonia, the festival producer for Illuminato Festival Toronto. And Councillor Santos is the sponsor for this announcement, so welcome, Sonia.
Sonia, you are in the session. You can unmute your mic. Please go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I'm the festival producer at Illuminato Festival Toronto, and I greatly appreciate the invitation to join you today. And I'm excited to share with you an incredible presentation that we're bringing to Brampton on June 9th. It feels very fitting to follow the BAO's announcement as their invitation and support has brought us here. So just as very brief background, Illuminato to the SARS pandemic. We're a multi-art form festival that shines a spotlight on the region each year as a global and connected city rich in creativity and spotlighting hundreds of local and international artists annually. And we're committed to expanding the festival's impact beyond the downtown core and to host a festival across the region, mostly outdoors, free and accessible. I'm very proud to say that in 2022, with support from BAO and the Brampton Tourism Department, we presented 2 projects in Brampton. One was Art in Transit, Illuminato on the Go, a piece of pop-up theater that took place on a different Go line each weekday morning, you may have heard about, as well as All in Good Time, which was an outdoor interactive experience that took place in 4 parks across the region, including Loafers Lake Park in Brampton. But what I'd love to share with you today is what we have planned for this year. And I wonder if we could put up the slide just to give you a taste, but if not, that's fine. This video will speak volumes. But again, this year, with tremendous support from the Brampton Arts Organization and Brampton Tourism, who've offered ongoing and enthusiastic support in connecting us to partners in the city, I'm proud to share we are bringing Walk with Amal Toronto. This is one of our most exciting and ambitious projects this year that runs through the entire program. And what you're seeing on the screen or about to see is a 12-foot tall puppet of little Amal. Her name means hope in Arabic. And little Amal is a 10-year-old Syrian refugee who has been traveling the world since 2021. She represents all children fleeing war, violence, and persecution with an urgent message to not forget about them. And to date, she's visited 90 cities and 13 countries. What I'm about to share with you, a short video, is her recent stop in New York. But on June 7th, she's going to make her first stop in Canada. She'll arrive on the 7th, and for 5 days, she will travel throughout the region, meeting community leaders, artists, volunteers, fellow refugees, and members of the local community. And on Friday, June 9th, little Amal will make a stop in Brampton at the Bramley Civic Centre, where she will be welcomed by a large and welcoming community, including a group of local and loving mothers. So I'd love to show you a little video, and I hope you can join us on June 9th.
Sonia, we'll just bring up the video here in a moment.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this time. I hope you can all join us on June 9th at the Bramley Civic Center. And we're very grateful for all the support from the City of Brampton. We look forward to many future collaborations with you.
Thank you so much, Sonia. I have Councillor Santos on the board.
Thank you through you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Sonia, for your announcement as well as the video today. This is just another example of what art does and what BOW and the city has been able to do through our ongoing support and advocacy for arts. Luminato is a huge festival that is now coming again to Brampton, and I'm excited to welcome Amal. Her story, and through art, we're telling the story and connecting the community. We have many refugees that have come to settle here in Brampton, and so this story of Amal and her walk is going to be very powerful. It's amazing what art does to illustrate the stories as well as connect people and show compassion and empathy. So excited that she's traveling from New York and now Toronto and now Brampton. We are going to welcome you, and I will be there for sure. Thank you, Sonia.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Santos. And I'd like to just say that when I had shared this online, the amount of people just around the world that responded and said it's amazing that Amal's coming to Brampton because she had been to their cities. And it's something that resonates globally with people. So I look forward to this as well, and I would encourage all the residents of Brampton to be there on June 9th to see Amal, to welcome her to Brampton. And thank you, Sonia. Moving on to the next item. Our next item is item 5.3, an announcement regarding the Navigating the Cybersecurity Landscape Tips, Tricks, and Strategies for Youth on Thursday, June 1st, 2023 from 11 to 5:30 p.m. Joining us today is Catherine, the project manager, and Diane, Senior Advisor, CyberStart Canada, Rogers Cybersecurity Catalyst. I am the sponsor for this announcement, and welcome Catherine and Diana.
Good morning. Thank you, Councillor Tor. My name is Catherine McCabe, Project Manager for CyberStart Canada with the Rogers Cybersecurity Catalyst at Toronto Metropolitan University. CyberStart Canada is the Catalyst youth-focused cybersecurity learning experience that seeks to increase cyber knowledge and safety among high school students and introduce them to careers and opportunities in cyber. The program is available to students aged 13 to 18 and has engaged more than 125 youth across Brampton through in-person and virtual programming. We're excited to share that our first and currently only student to complete the entire CyberStart game is a student from Brampton with the Peel Region District School Board and is keen to pursue a career in cybersecurity. CyberStart Canada will be hosting a free webinar for youth, Navigating the Cybersecurity Landscape, Tips, Tricks, and Strategies for Youth, which will be taking place on Thursday, June 1st from 11 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Brought to you by Rogers Cybersecurity Catalyst and RBC, Navigating the Cybersecurity Landscape is a full-day webinar of action-packed sessions where attendees will learn from industry professionals about diversity and inclusion in cyber, hackers and cybercrime, the future of cybersecurity, cyberbullying and safe online communication, careers and opportunities in cyber, and hear from a youth panel about their journeys into cybersecurity. The webinar kicks off with a keynote panel featuring RBC professionals, followed by 6 interactive sessions that will provide attendees with live demonstrations of CyberStart game and insights into CyberStart Canada and learnings from youth, industry professionals and organizations such as Peel Regional Police, Toronto Police Service, ICTC, and more on a number of hot topics and interests in cybersecurity. While the webinar targets youth aged 13 to 18, it is nationwide, open to all students, educators, parents, community organizations, industry professionals, and anyone curious to hear from cybersecurity experts and learn more about cyber. Webinar registration is available on the screen above at that QR code or at cyberstartcanada.com, and we have social media assets that we can send to folks to share with their networks on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and other social media platforms. Thank you for your time today, and we look forward to seeing you on Thursday, June 1st at 11 a.m., and I welcome any questions folks may have about the webinar or CyberStart Canada. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine, for that announcement. It's wonderful to see that we're doing this for youth here in our city. Seeing no one that wishes to speak to this on the board. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, if I can move up just one item on the agenda shortly after, but if I could do this now, is item 5.6, the announcement by Mayor Brown. We would like to deal with that announcement at this time. Mayor Brown?
Yes, thank you, Chair Tor. I wanted to recognize a very special visitor who is here today. Not only do we have your father's wise advice, and it's good to have you around the council chamber, the more Tor, the better. But we also have D.S. Baines, who is a career civil servant, joined the Indian Administrative Service in 1981, allocated to the Punjab Cadre, retired as Home Secretary of Punjab, held various assignments like Deputy Commissioner of Ropar and Sangrur districts, was Managing Director of the Markfed, Punjab, Akalize, and Punsap, worked as Principal Secretary to the Minister of Heavy Industry, Government of India, also Special Principal Secretary to the Chief Minister of the Punjab, was founder, Vice Chancellor of the Veterinary University of Punjab, arranged a $100 million loan from the World Bank to upgrade the secondary health infrastructure of the Punjab. After retirement, was appointed as chairman of the Punjab Electricity Regulatory Commission and is now settled in Chandigarh and runs a high school in Kanna. And as someone who has visited the Punjab many times, I know the positions he's held are of immense importance, and there is a tremendous friendship with the Punjab in the city of Brampton. And so D.S. Baines is now standing. We just want to welcome you. We wanted to welcome you to the home of our democracy, and I believe Councillor Tor and Singh have a scroll to present to you as well. And we ask you to come down to the front. Yeah, maybe Councillor Tor. And I should also note his chaperone today was Mr. Bobby Sidhu, who is a veteran political commentator. He's the Evan Solomon of Peel current events. So Bobby, welcome to City Hall as well. And of course, Prabji Johal as well. Yeah.
That's a good way to describe Bobby. Moving on to our next item, item 5.4. An announcement regarding the recognition of Dara Nagra's $1 million donation to the Sick Kids Foundation. Joining us today is, there he is, Dara Nagra, the CEO of Avla Technology Solutions, Inc. And Deputy Mayor Singh is the sponsor for this announcement. And I believe Dara's son is here as well. Please join us as you come to the front. You don't look like the son.
Good morning, everyone. Mayor Patrick Brown, Harkirat, and Gurpratap, and all the elected members and all the city council staff. So first of all, thank you for inviting us. As you know, Brampton is the hub for transportation industry. Lot of trucking, is the livelihood of a lot of Bramptonians. So Avval is very proud, service provider for trucking industry. Not only we provide education, we train people how to start a career in trucking or how to run their own trucking as a business. And then we provide full consulting. So if they start trucking, so we are always there to support them because it's a very regulated industry. So Avval helps them, fulfill all the regulatory requirements. And then we provide technology, software, so to manage their operations. And also we are a very proud partner to help cross-border trade. We help, a trucking company to take freight to US and bring it back to Canada. So we have been doing this for 20 years now. So this 2023 mark us our 20th anniversary of our company. So in happy occasion for celebrating 20th year, so we donated $1 million to sick kids because Awal believes in charity, and Sick Kid is a very premier hospital which helps a lot of in the terms of technology, innovation, as well as research for worldwide. Sick kids comes for the treatment, and we are very proud that we are associated with Sick Kids for last 10-12 years, and this year so we celebrated by donating $1 million to the Sick Kids Hospital. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Darapaji. And awal means it's a word we borrow from Arabic. It's in Punjabi, but it means it could mean first, it could mean premier, but it also means to be a pioneer. And you guys are definitely pioneers in this industry, in this technology, and it's great to see you've been doing it for so long. You're so successful that Yavi Santeju joining you as well. So thank you for your donation to the hospital. I have Councillor Singh, Deputy Mayor Singh, that would like to speak.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Darapaji, the reason we wanted to recognize you is, you're a major employer in the city of Brampton. You brought significant innovation to the field of logistics and transportation. I have the opportunity to attend your gala every year. It's a remarkable gala. Me, Mayor Brown, Councillor Tour, other councillors here, we love to attend annually. And the biggest thing is why we wanted to recognize yourself and your company as contributing back. And Sick Kids is obviously, as you said, an amazing institution, and we want to encourage other business owners and major employers to do the same. We have a lot of projects coming in Brampton. We have the med schools, Second Hospital, we have long-term care homes, Christian All-in Homes, Gabe, the Guru Nanak long-term care home, and they're going to need the help of business owners like yourself. So we wanted to encourage others to do the same. Thank you for doing such a milestone contribution to Sick Kids, and we also had, once again, another certificate to present to you on behalf of council. So I'd like to ask all the councillors to come up and take a picture with all technologies after Mayor Brown makes his comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Brown?
Yes, Dara and the team at Aval, I just want to say, thank you for this incredible corporate citizenship. It says so much about your company. You've raised the standard. You're pushing others by example to be generous, to put love towards causes that need uplifting. My wife, before we had kids, worked at Sick Kids, and I heard stories about how kids facing the greatest levels of adversity, the incredible life-changing work that would happen at Sick Kids. When Jake Deere called me, I remember as we were doing the prayers at the Ontario Council de Bar for this donation, when he called me and said, "You're donating $1 million," I said, "He can't mean $1 million. 10,000, 100,000, and Jake said, "No, $1 million." It's just, you let that sink in. It's astounding. It's an astounding level of generosity, and so I just want to thank you as well and echo the words of Deputy Mayor Singh that this is, we're proud to have residents like you that raise the bar on generosity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Brown, and would also like to acknowledge all your friends here. Jake, well-known member of the community, always the MC. Today, it's surprising to not see you speak.
No, he asked me to, but he did such a great job. No, you did a great job.
And it's, welcome to Tejgir as well. Kashmir Paji, welcome to City Hall and Council Chambers, and my good friends, Bill and Isan Mansahib. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I think we can all join them to do a photo, please. Thank you once again. And moving on to our next item is item 5.5. I've added this item on for a proclamation for Jassa Singh Ramgarhia Day. I believe we have Pyara Singh that would like to speak to this announcement. Welcome, Singh Sahib. You have 2 minutes to make your announcement. Thank you.
I had a long speech, but I'll make it short.
Please do.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Mayor Patrick Brown and Mr. Kira Singh, everybody. We are here from Ramgarhia Sikh Foundation of Ontario, named RSFO in short. It was founded in 2007, and in 2010, they started recognizing various personalities of our community. And in 2014, they have started giving some awards to the prominent people of the community. And this year, we have about 15 people came from India who were also awarded day before yesterday. This organization also works for children, new immigrants, and seniors, and they help them wherever they could. And this organization is also named after Sardar Jassa Singh Ramgarhia, whose 300th birth celebration we are celebrating this year. And we are thanked to the council that they helped us in that. And I want to give just one note on Sardar Jassa Singh Ramgarhia. He was a missile owner, Ramgarhia Missile, and he fought fearlessly in his life. And he was very kind towards women. He saved many women during the invades of Durrani at that time, at that period. From 1758 to almost 1785, he continuously fought and protected the community when we Sikhs used to live in the jungles and forests. So he helped with other missiles, and he was a man of character. And that's why he survived 300 years. And today we are talking about him in the council here in Brampton. So we really thank the city for recognizing Sardar Jassa Singh Ji Ramgarhia and his missile, and the community, which is Ramgarhia Sikh Foundation of Ontario. Mr. Daljit Singh Gaidu is the chairman for all these years. Mr. Dayal Singh Cheetah is the General Secretary, and we all work together and we try to help the community everywhere where they need. Thank you so much for giving us the time today.
Thank you so much, and I have Deputy Mayor Singh on the board.
I'd suggest we also read the proclamation after. And I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I know we have guests from around the world as well for this significant day. And I know there was functions held all around the world, as his descendants have gone all around the world now. And it's amazing to see the community so active and vibrant. His contributions obviously were immense. And continuing that legacy by giving back to the local community, whether it's helping with charities, I know helping with the arts. I know I have to give a shout out to Pyara Singh. His son is Fateh, the rapper, and he's done a lot for the local youth here as well. Good friend of mine. And so just contributing back and continuing that legacy, I think that's what it's all about. And helping with charitable causes. I know you guys do remarkable. I enjoyed the event on the weekend as well. It was great to see the community so vibrant in the city of Brampton and around the world. Thank you so much. And if the chair could also read the proclamation.
Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor Singh. So I have the proclamation here with me that I'd like to read for Sardar Jassa Singh Ramgarhia Day. Whereas Jassa Singh Ramgarhia was born on May 5th, 1723, this year marks the 300th birth anniversary of the Sikh ruler who was a great warrior of his times. He was a devout Sikh, well-versed in Gurbani and proficient in the Holy Scriptures. The Ramgarhia Sikh Foundation of Ontario is organizing multiple events and prayers in recognition of Jassa Singh Ramgarhia's 300th birth anniversary. The Ramgarhia Sikh Foundation of Ontario is an Ontario-based non-profit organization working for betterment of the local community. Jassa Singh Ramgarhia has an important place in Sikh history, and his life is a source of inspiration. The community will work to honor the legacy of Jassa Singh Ramgarhia in Brampton and across the nation. Therefore, I, Mayor Patrick Brown, on behalf of Brampton City Council, do hereby proclaim May 5th, 2023 as Jassa Singh Ramgarhia Day in the city of Brampton.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Welcome back from that short recess. Our next item is 7.1, Government Relations Matter. Chris from the CEO's office is here with a presentation for Committee on Government Relations Matter. Welcome, Chris.
please. Thank you and good morning through the chair. We have a bit longer presentation for you today as a result of last week's significant announcement by the province. I'll also be sharing my time with colleagues from the planning department who will speak to the City of Brampton's submission to the Federal Housing Accelerator Fund. First things, there are no regional council meetings this week. The next regional council meeting is scheduled for Thursday, June 8th at 9:30. Next slide, please. Last Thursday, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing introduced legislation to dissolve the region appeal. Minister Clark introduced the Hazel-McCallion Act, which begins the process to dissolve the region and make Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon independent municipalities. The minister stressed the province wants to ensure the continuation of high-quality services for taxpayers while improving the efficiency of local governments. The decision to dissolve the region appeal is to prepare Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon for future growth, including delivering on their municipal housing pledges. Next slide, please. Given the significance of this announcement, we want to take a moment to outline what we know so far about the process and how it will unfold. The Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing will put in place a transition board of up to 5 people to facilitate the dissolution of the region, and if needed, oversee the financial affairs of Peel and its lower tier municipalities to help ensure prudent financial stewardship until the transition process is complete. This is to provide a framework to facilitate discussions and recommendations on division of regional services and assets. The transition board will provide recommendations to the province to help Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon prepare to become single-tier municipalities. The transition period will conclude on January 1st, 2025, when the region appeal will cease to exist. We anticipate the names of the transition board to be released in the coming weeks. Next slide, please. The minister also made clear that the transition board will help implement the province's expectation that affected municipalities work together fairly and in a spirit of partnership to ensure value for money and efficient, high-quality services for taxpayers. The transition board must, among other things, provide recommendations to the minister respecting the municipal restructuring required for the purposes of dissolving the region, and must monitor the actions, duties, and decisions of councils of the municipalities and their local boards, and those actions that have been delegated to committee, staff, or officers. The Act also requires that the municipalities and their local boards, when considering entering into a transaction, commitment, or agreement on or after May 18th, 2023, and before January 1st, 2025, act in the public interest, having regard to the municipal restructuring required for the purposes of dissolving the region, including acting in a manner that does not unreasonably impact another municipality. The outline process is to ensure an equitable outcome for shared assets and services and to maintain access to municipal services for all residents regardless of location, while ensuring a fair outcome for the 3 municipalities that prioritizes the preservation of frontline services and workers, respect for taxpayers, and government efficiency. Next slide, please. Bill 112 also builds on Bill 39, confirming that in the coming weeks, the Minister of Municipal Affairs will name regional facilitators to assess the upper-tier municipalities of Durham, Halton, Niagara, Simcoe, Waterloo, and York. These facilitators will be tasked with reviewing whether the upper-tier government continues to be relevant to the needs of communities or whether the lower-tier municipalities are mature enough to pursue dissolution. Facilitators will also make recommendations on how these 2-tier municipalities can more effectively respond to the issues facing fast-growing municipalities. Next slide, please. In other provincial updates, the government also announced that the Investing in Women's Futures program will be delivered in Brampton by Roots Community Services through an investment of $318,000 over 3 years. The 12-week program will help women heal from past trauma, build confidence, and work towards financial independence through a variety of training programs, supports, and resources and networking opportunities. The 10 announced additional locations for the program is part of a $6.9 million investment over 3 years to enhance the program and create more economic opportunities for women across the province. Next slide, please. Last Thursday, the federal finance minister announced in Brampton that the government is moving forward with their commitment to lower credit card fees for small businesses. The federal government has finalized new agreements with Visa and MasterCard, which will see more than 90% of credit card accepting businesses in the country qualify for lower rates and see their interchange fees reduced by up to 27% from the existing weighted average. Next slide, please. The 2023 FCM Conference and AGM starts tomorrow with an all-day Big City Mayor's Caucus meeting. The conference runs through Sunday at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. Regional Councillor Santos is running for re-election to the FCM Board of Directors. We wish the councillor a successful election so that the city continues to have a strong voice at the FCM Board. I wish all council members attending a good conference. Now I'll pass the floor over to my colleagues in planning who can walk us through the Housing Accelerator Fund submission.
Great, thank you, Chris. Good morning, council, staff, and everyone in attendance at this morning's meeting. As Chris mentioned, my name is Melinda, and I'll be presenting on the city's application to the CMHC Housing Accelerator Fund on behalf of Planning, Building, and Growth Management. Next slide, please. So starting with an overview of what the Housing Accelerator Fund is, in 2022, the federal government's housing corporation, that's the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, or CMHC, announced the Housing Accelerator Fund to provide funding to local governments to boost housing supply across Canada. And the fund is an application-based fund, and its overall objective is to drive transformational change within the sphere of control of local governments regarding land use planning and development approvals. Overall, there's $4 billion in funds available to local authorities across the country, and the City of Brampton is planning to submit an application to CMHC for early consideration by June 14th. Next slide, please. In terms of the application itself, applicants, as part of the application, are required to develop an action plan, and the action plan needs to include 3 things. The first is a minimum of 7 initiatives that the city will undertake over the next 3 years to boost housing supply and directly contribute to new housing units being permitted. The second is a housing supply growth target, which is based on 2 projections over a 3-year period ending September 2026. The first projection is the total number of housing units that the city will permit in the next 3 years without the funding, and the second projection is the total number of housing units the city will be able to permit with support from the fund. And this second projection is referred to as the housing supply growth target. So that includes the baseline projection and what we're estimating to permit, regardless of the funding, plus the additional permits that will be made possible through the HAF funding. And then lastly, applicants set targets according to housing type. So this is a breakdown of the housing supply growth target, identifying the total number of housing units projected to be permitted by housing type. Next slide, please. Putting the process together here, so in the application stage, which is to be completed before mid-June, we need to put forward the growth targets and a minimum of 7 initiatives. And then once CMHC evaluates our action plan and evaluates whether or not we qualify for funding, then the funding assessment is done. And the funding amount is calculated using the growth targets and the initiatives. And that's what really secures our funding. But if we receive the funding, there are permitted uses of funds beyond those initiatives. So the 4 permitted uses of funds are, the first is investments in the HAF action plans, so putting money towards those initiatives. The second is investments in affordable housing, and this permitted use is really related to the construction or the repair of affordable housing. And then the third and fourth uses are investments in housing-related infrastructure and community-related infrastructure that supports housing. So, for example, things like wastewater infrastructure that supports housing, public transit, disaster mitigation, or community energy systems are all permitted use of the funds. Next slide, please. Okay, getting into now Brampton's application and action plan. So the action plan includes 8 initiatives as key actions to support the delivery of new housing in Brampton. And these initiatives were identified and selected based off of a few things. So we discussed across various teams at the city the upcoming planned projects that will support housing delivery, as well as the expansion of already ongoing projects. And in addition to that, CMHC provided a list of eligible and encouraged initiatives in the pre-application reference materials. And the initiatives included in our application really align with that list provided by CMHC and the overall objectives of the Housing Accelerator Fund. So the initiatives are incentive programs. That includes a housing incentive program and the Housing Catalyst Project, both of which were endorsed through the city's housing strategy. Implementation of inclusionary zoning, unlocking growth potential via rapid transit, revised parking standards, facilitating detached ARUs and missing middle units, pre-zoning in strategic growth areas, and infrastructure and servicing capacity planning. So some of these initiatives are short-term, some are more medium-term, but they will all advance the work related to supporting growth and development in Brampton and creating those conditions necessary for more housing supply over the long term in the city. Next slide, please. In addition to the initiatives, we have included growth targets in the application. And the growth targets were estimated based on historical data, so both StatsCan and the city's building permit data, as well as based on the housing projections and forecast data that was completed for Brampton Plan. So staff project that the city will permit a total of 13,500 units over the next 3 years without support from the fund, which equates to 4,500 permitted units per year, which is also in alignment with the Region of Peel's growth projections for Brampton. And it is estimated that the city could permit an additional 3,150 units with the funding through the half, for a total of 16,650 units over 3 years. And now it's important to note here that this growth target is distinct and separate from the growth target that is included in Brampton's Municipal Housing Pledge. So the target in the Housing Pledge was established by the provincial government, and the Municipal Housing Pledge was drafted following direction from the provincial government through Bill 23. This growth target, however, was established as part of the city's application for funding to the federal government. And if the city receives funding through this fund, we will be required to report periodically to CMHC. So the city would essentially be operating under two different growth targets. However, the units that are permitted with funding from the Housing Accelerator Fund and through the initiatives in this application will ultimately support the city in achieving both of those targets. Next slide, please. So if funding is received, the city would need to sign and enter into a contribution agreement with CMHC. And as I just mentioned, the city would be required to report to CMHC on progress towards the growth target, updates on each of the initiatives, and details on how funding is being spent. And the funding itself would be given in 4 annual installments of 25% each between 2023 and 2026, with the first installment given this September. And then reporting would be required. So once 6 months after the first installment, and then annually for 3 years, and then a final report to be submitted by November 2027. So with that, I'll end by just reiterating that this is a really great opportunity from the federal government to utilize funding to grow housing supply and increase the number of housing units that are being permitted at the city, as well as invest in housing-related infrastructure and community-related infrastructure that supports housing in the long term.
Thank you. I have Councillor Medeiros on the board.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I guess going to Chris, thank you very much. I know these are early days and details are going to come out. I was curious about the financial oversight piece with the new panel and the language around to ensure that municipalities from the presentation, something regarding expenditures which have negative impacts towards other municipalities or neighboring municipalities. Was that, did I understand correctly?
I can get you the exact language, sorry, or I can find it here for you. But, sorry, do you have?
Yeah, no, essentially, the financial oversight, like, you know, we approve our budget, we have, you know, outlined some priorities and so on. And I guess when it comes to the expenditures from that period from May 18th to 2025, is there specific sort of, do we have any expectations or understanding of, what is that financial oversight? Is it, because you have a sort of a body which is appointed that's going to report to the government, that's going to ensure that we can't spend the money or make the investments that we need in our community. And I guess that to me was sort of the surprising sort of tidbit. I know these are still early days. I don't expect you to have an answer, but to flush that out, do you have any sort of comment or understanding what that entails?
Through the chair to Councillor Medeiros. So our understanding, as you mentioned, it is early days and we are waiting for clarification from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. Our understanding is the intent of that specific language in the bill is just to ensure that business can be conducted at all levels of government currently with the region and the municipalities, and to ensure that there is a mechanism for oversight if a municipality decided to, make a decision or take a decision that could harm an additional municipality while this process undertakes. But we will see clarity on that.
Yeah, and through you, Mr. Chair, I guess that, posing harm, I don't know what that would mean or what's the definition of it, but, certainly when we got key capital projects that we have to do, all that stuff, it really, it's interesting what type of thing that they're looking for. I guess my second aspect, again, in terms of, this is probably early days as well. Without the region, I guess we're going through that process anyways. What happens from a political perspective when you have regional councillors, city councillors, with no longer having a region, our titles change. I guess, there's that impact. There's all that sort of unfolding in terms of, what's especially the regional councillors, what's our title? What becomes, it's not as simple, I don't know if it's just as simple as removing the regional title and saying now we're all city councillors. What does that mean? And so there's a lot of that sort of stuff, just understanding what our roles are. I understand that, our understanding or the basic understanding would be, okay, you just remove the title, you continue to do what you do. However, I'm not sure if it's as simple as that, but, so I guess, so do we have a timeline when this panel is going to be appointed?
Through the chair again, at this point, no.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Medeiros. Councillor Santos.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. So I have 3 questions on the 3 topics that were presented. First and foremost, FCM starts tomorrow. Very excited to see colleagues across the entire country. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of questions in terms of what's happening in Peel from my colleagues across the country. And so folks who are actually attending the FCM conference, I am up for re-election representing Brampton and waving the flag for Brampton at the FCM table. I want to remind my colleagues that FCM has been good to Brampton, especially through the Green Municipal Fund and other infrastructure projects where we have received various funding for important projects. And so to colleagues who are attending, please make sure to attend on Sunday because that is the actual AGM where we will be voting for our Ontario representatives to and hopefully get re-elected to the board. My question, and some of the questions I think will be discussed further in camera later today, but Brampton didn't ask for this, as the mayor likes to say. We didn't ask for dissolution. And last term, it was decided that things would remain as status quo, and then suddenly things have changed. That being said, the transition board that's coming into place, do we actually know, is there clarity on who is going to pay for this transition board?
Through the chair, we don't have any clarity yet from the province on those details.
So I would really hate for the transition board, because normally if the province is going to pay for it, they're going to say we're going to pay for the transition board. So what I don't want is Brampton not asking for this, really it's Mississauga asking and demanding this, and then Brampton having to also pay for the transition board through reserves or through the region of Peel or through property taxes in order to dissolve the region, which is something that Brampton never wanted. So I think we need clarity on who's paying for this, and in fact, the province should be paying for this, not the 3 municipalities, I don't think. Or Mississauga can pay for it. They're the ones who want it the most. So some clarity on that would be great, and perhaps we can ask some of our colleagues at the province to get clarity on who's paying for it. And then finally, there was a presentation that was given about the Housing Accelerator Fund. I have a question. What is missing middle units? I'm sure we discussed it in the past, but just wondering, what is the missing middle unit?
Yeah, through the chair, and to clarify, missing middle units are a type of housing that is being prioritized by CMHC through this program. So they would like to see an increase in missing middle units, and we will receive additional funding if we commit to that. Missing middle units are units that are between semi-detached homes and low-rise apartment buildings. So we're looking at duplexes, triplexes, cottage court housing.
Garden suite?
Yes, garden suites, exactly. Infill housing, and even low-rise up to 4 stories.
Okay, so missing middle units are kind of like additional residential units, kind of?
They're a type of missing middle.
Okay. Okay, so this is interesting because as we now have 2 different targets, and CMHC is a really good opportunity because at least the growth in those housing units will be somewhat supported by the federal government versus the other target we have, which is really it's a huge stretch goal for us, which is not tied to any funding whatsoever. So, and the fact that they're separate, my concern is, and maybe staff can answer this question, whether or not the province is going to piggyback on this funding, saying, oh, there's federal funding there, why don't you apply for, or are they very distinct programs that the province is not going to try to pass on the buck to the feds?
Yeah, through the chair, at this point in time, staff haven't received any communication from the province on a similar funding program.
Okay, so they're 2 separate programs. Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and Councillor Palashi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, what I was wondering is, and we were at the announcement last week at Queen's Park. I guess what I've noticed is that there's a lot of maybe discussions that are happening between some of the Mississauga MPPs, Brampton MPPs, members of this council, but not to mention the close relationship that the Premier's office has, not only with our mayor, but also the Chief of Staff. So I was wondering if maybe the Chief of Staff could come down and just shed some light on some discussions that he's had with the Premier's office, and see if we can get some further insight into not only the separation announcement, but the possibility of the mayor to the south seeking the leadership with the Liberal Party. Could I ask them that the mayor's chief of staff come down and provide any insight on that?
Gonna wait for the mayor's chief of staff to respond. The chief of staff will respond to you later, Councillor Palashi. Guess moving on from that, if nobody else is on the board, thank you so much, Chris, for your delegation. Moving on from that, in the economic development section. Oh, sorry. I have a motion from Councillor Medeiros to receive the delegation in the presentation. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, and thank you, the motion carries. Our next item is item 8.5, the council question period for the economic development section of the agenda. Seeing no members have any questions, I will ask Mr. Clerk if there's any questions from the public.
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are none.
Seeing there are none, I will now pass the chair over to Councillor Broad to chair the corporate services section of the committee agenda.
Thank you. We're just on to our corporate service section. Our next item is 9.3.1, a discussion item at the request of Deputy Mayor Singh regarding job accessibility for persons with disabilities.
Yeah, I think I could have been more clear with the heading there. So what I'm trying to accomplish, I just asked for a report back, is I've had a lot of parents approach me, some tough conversations, I guess, as their children are transitioning from high school into adulthood, and they suffer. You know, I know we make way for physical disabilities, but these are more intellectual disabilities, and I want to see if there's any opportunities for the city to help out in that regard. I just had 3 within the last 2-3 months come to request, and I didn't know the answer, and maybe we are doing something so we could put that in the report, but if we're not, it'd just be nice to see if there are any opportunities. Maybe there's funding sources as well that we can explore. I'm not looking for this to come back in a month or two. We can take our time. Maybe we can contact some of the parents as well and see what their input is. But it's just tough for parents when you know, they don't have the support from the schools anymore. The children graduate, and you know, the children can work. Some of them, especially basic jobs, and if there's an opportunity where we could add some support and maybe get some funding to do it, or make accommodation in a way where we can make it work, I think we should explore that for the parents of Brampton.
So through the chair to Councillor Singh, and I know that all the postings that we have, the city's, you know, an equal opportunity employer and provides inclusivity with barrier-free recruitment processes. But I believe, if I understand correctly, it's more targeted towards developmentally delayed disabilities. So what we can do is have staff go back and report back, and perhaps even do a peer review on what other jurisdictions are doing for the same, and provide that to council for consideration.
Yeah, so sorry, Peter, should have sent it before, but just a staff report back on providing opportunities for special needs. We'll stick with the word special needs for now, but I'm referring to developmental, delayed intellectual, the type of disability.
Thank you. Do any other members have any questions or comments? So we have a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Singh to report.
Sorry, through you, Chair Brar, Councillor Singh. Councillor Singh, I just want to clarify, because you speak about transitioning from, individuals transitioning from high school to adulthood. So this is about employment opportunities within the city of Brampton.
Yeah,
is that potential. Okay.
And how we can make it work.
Okay.
And potentially exploring funding opportunities.
And external funding opportunities. Okay, thank you.
So I have a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Singh for staff to be requested to report on potential opportunities for support for parents of children with special needs as they transition from high schools into employment. All in favor? All opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Our next item is 9.5, Councillor question period for this section. Do any members have any questions regarding the corporate service section? Seeing none, we'll move on. Now we can deal with item 9.6, public question period. Do we have any questions? Okay. I will pass the chair to Councillor Vicente to chair the Public Works and Engineering section for the committee agenda.
Thank you very much. Members, we are now moving on to report 10.2.3, staff report on the timing of traffic signals and pedestrian crossings at intersections. This was held by Councillor Paleshi. Councillor Paleshi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I think I've talked about it enough in past meetings. I do have a motion that I would like Peter to read if possible.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the motion on this report, I guess, is to receive the report, which is the staff recommendation, but also move the additional motion. Moved by Councillor Paleshi, whereas historically traffic signals are designed to assign right-of-way to vehicle and pedestrian movements at an intersection with the objective to balance demand, minimize delay, and provide the necessary information for all users to safely navigate through the intersections. And, whereas the City of Brampton prioritizes pedestrian safety in support of Vision Zero and active transportation, and whereas pedestrian crossing times are the basic building blocks of intersection signal timings and determine the rest of the traffic signal phasing, and whereas most intersections require pedestrians to use the push button to activate the pedestrian walk signal, and whereas at traffic signals that change without the corresponding walk signal, pedestrians will oftentimes risk their own safety to save time and cross anyways, and whereas the requirement of a pedestrian to push a push button shows that intersections are prioritizing vehicular traffic over pedestrian traffic. Therefore, be it resolved that staff report back on the implementation, including any associated costs, of having all intersections automatically display the walk signal between 6 a.m. and 11:59 p.m., including the possibility of a phased-in approach beginning in pedestrian-heavy areas.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, Councillor Paleshi.
No, that's it. I'm good. Thank you.
Any additional comments? Do any members have any comments? Seeing none, so we have the motion as read. All in favor, any opposed? That carries. And I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Paleshi to receive the report. All in favor, any opposed? That carries. And so with that, we now move on to question period. Mr. Clerk, do we have any questions from members of the public?
There are none, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and do members have any questions? Seeing none, so with that, we now move on to community service section to be carried by Councillor.
Okay, so we now are in community services section on the agenda. The only item here is 11.3.1, discussion item at the request of Regional Councillor Keenan regarding the status of the Terry Fox statue. Councillor Keenan is currently not in the chamber. I think he's just on a little bit of, he's getting a coffee or something. Maybe, can we do legislative services first, Mr. Clerk?
We can, through you, Chair Santos. There is the other item, 11.3.2 from the Mayor regarding GT20.
Okay. 11.3.2 for GT20. The Mayor is not here. My understanding is that we're wanting to have delegates come in for council next week on this particular item. So I'm going to move that we refer it to council next week and wait to hear from the delegates on this matter. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? That matter is referred to council next week. Still waiting for Councillor Keenan. On the Terry Fox statue. So, yeah, so my understanding is that this is just for an update on what the status is for the Terry Fox statue. In the last term of council, we did pass a motion to take a look at memorializing Terry Fox. We do already have the Terry Fox Stadium located at Chinguacousy Park. However, I think folks in the community, particularly in wards 3 and 4, wanted to do something additional to that. So since we have Kelly here, Kelly, can you provide us with an update on that while we wait for Councillor Keenan?
Sure, through the chair. As Councillor Santos said last term, the Terry Fox consideration for memorializing Terry Fox was brought forward with staff, At the same time, we were starting work on the city's first public art strategy, which will address specifically a process and framework for memorials and monuments. It is on our list and will come back for council consideration as part of, excuse me, that strategic work.
Perfect. So Councillor Keenan, welcome back. Kelly just gave us an update on the public art strategy that is coming forward with the report in June.
Sorry, through the chair, no, by year end.
By year end, the public art strategy. And Councillor Keenan, the floor is now yours.
We talked about this section. Thank you. So the reason that I brought it forward for the Terry Fox statue, one of my residents, real trailblazer of the community, that gets a lot of things done when it comes to raising money for specifically Terry Fox, Mr. Bango. I just, he's reached out to me a few times and said that this was pushed through, I believe, direction was given in September of 2022. And I just wanted to make sure that when I followed up on it, I just wanted to make sure that it was still on our radar and what it is that we would be doing. We did have a conversation around rolling it into the art that is coming throughout the city. And was it already discussed the one that's coming back? Yeah. Sorry, I apologize. I stepped out to use the washroom. So I'm okay with, based on our conversations with that coming back. I just want to make sure that that's the top of our priority for what we get when it comes out and we start to launch it, that the Terry Fox either monument or options, whatever those are, that when we do roll it out, that's top of the list because it has been on here for so long.
Through the chair, happy to provide a list of, there are a number of different projects that have been identified, so we'll be sure to bring that back with some consideration on how to approach each of them.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Councillor Fortini. Oh, Mayor Brown.
Yeah, just to say, I know there is a groundswell of efforts to do this statue. I know Mohan Singh Bangu from one of our local senior association was collecting a petition across the city. The reason I put forward this motion last term of council was in recognition of this request from our seniors associations to recognize such an iconic Canadian. And so I just hope that there would be some collaboration with the Terry Fox Foundation as well, and that we find what the appropriate location for this is, and then the residents who put forward this request, if they could be included in what the process is. But I think right now their concern is what's happened. Has it disappeared? And so just to let them know the process that we're following. And so has there been any conversation with the foundation?
Through the chair, not at this time, no, but we can initiate that.
Okay, and so I guess my question will be, when can we get like a report on this? What would be a realistic timeline? Because the Terry Fox run is, I think, every September. I wouldn't want to be in a position next September where I've got no update. Hopefully, maybe if we don't meet as often in the summer, maybe we could have an update before council breaks in the summer. Would that be a realistic timeline?
Through the chair, because we're in the middle of the public art strategy, we were hoping to bring it back as part of the monuments and memorials consideration under the public art strategy. We'll have to look at that on timing, but certainly we can bring a response before September.
Okay, but definitely council will be in a position to speak to this in September with what the timeline for achieving this is.
Sure, understood.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Pelletier.
No, sorry, Madam Mayor, Madam Chair, I haven't taken my hand down yet.
Thank you. So I think in having conversations with staff and looking at the entire list of various public art requests, monuments, murals, etc., I think it's very important for us to have this public art strategy come back, given the different options that may exist, given the fact that the Terry Fox Foundation may not want a statue. They may want something else to memorialize Terry Fox. We also have the Terry Fox Stadium that's in place. I've been in discussions with staff regarding the public art strategy because there is a step away now from folks wanting statues due to the vandalism, due to various monuments and statues being taken down. Ryerson is an example amongst others across Europe. So in the public art world, there is a move away from life statues and figures of people. There may be other creative, more modern ways to actually memorialize and tribute somebody like Terry Fox. So for example, one of my ideas that I've had with folks and that I've seen in other countries, the track of the Terry Fox Memorial Stadium needs to be replaced, and there might be an opportunity for us to incorporate some public art in the track itself to better memorialize Terry Fox versus just another statue. And so looking forward to the report on public art, the comprehensive report on public art coming back to council. But if, for example, in September, is it possible to have that initial conversation maybe with the Terry Fox Foundation, and maybe that could be the report back to us in September as an initial step?
Through the chair, absolutely. There's no reason that we couldn't start some of the due diligence and the conversation with the community about what they're hoping to see, and then work that and integrate it back into our strategy. So we can make that happen for sure.
Okay, great. So in September, hopefully we'll have that conversation with Terry Fox Foundation, see if they, what their opinion is on how to better memorialize Terry Fox, maybe pass some ideas around, and maybe we get that in September and then fold that into the public art strategy.
Through the chair, that's a good approach. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mayor Brown.
I was just saying, just in the case of fairness to these seniors that did the petition, it was for a statue. And so I think the motion we passed was for a statue, just to not get lost. I know with Bill Davis's, the family wanted to do something other than a statue. In this case, the request was to have a statue where they could start the walk or end the walk every year.
Okay.
So just to add that in.
Yep, that sounds good. And I guess when staff speak to the Terry Fox Foundation, if that's what they also think is the best way, then great. But like similar to the Bill Davis statue and approach, the family didn't want a statue and figure of Bill Davis, and so we're going into a different route. So the feedback and suggestion to ask feedback from Terry Fox Foundation is a good one, and I guess staff will return with that update on that conversation in September. Any further questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is question period. Do any members have any questions regarding community services? Seeing none. Public question period, Mr. Clerk, anyone in the gallery, questions regarding community services? Seeing none. Next section is legislative services. I do not believe there's anything, so councillor question period. Any questions regarding legislative services? Seeing none. Public question period, no questions from the public. That now brings us, I believe, to, I'm so sorry, let me pull up my agenda. Referred matters list, which is published quarterly. Do any members have any questions regarding the referred matters list? Seeing none. Public question period, no questions from the public. And now we're going to go into closed session for the one item that was added by myself, 15.1, negotiations. Negotiations are pending, where is it? A position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on on behalf of the municipality or local board. Motion moved by Councillor Keenan to go in camera for that. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Mr. Clerk, how many minutes do you need?
Through you, Chair Santos, probably 15 minutes at minimum.
15 minutes, so we will return back in camera closed session at 11:20. Is that okay? Yeah, 11:20 a.m. Thank you. Direction was given in camera regarding that matter, Mr. Clerk, if you can just confirm.
Through you, Chair Santos, yes, the item, what information was received on the one closed session item, and direction was given to staff.
Thank you very much. Our next item on the agenda is adjournment. Our next meeting of Committee of Council will be on Wednesday, June the 7th. at 9:30 a.m. Motion from Mayor Brown to adjourn today's Committee of Council meeting. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried. We will see you guys next week at council.